welcome to another edition of Inside Kirk. I'm your host, Melissa Buffalo, and today we are with Dr. Jacque from the University of North Dakota. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, before we get into your project, before watching Yeya, the whole project, let me just give a little context and provide an overview, and then we'll just ask you some questions and you can tell us about the work.
Sounds good.
So, because the suicide rate among Indigenous youth in the Northern Plains is alarmingly high, we need to start looking at culturally appropriate programming as a way to reduce these rates. So the project we're going to talk about today just does that. The project's aim is to determine culturally specific determinants of hopefulness among Lakota youth ages 14 to 24 that will be used to inform future suicide prevention research in Indigenous communities, so more specifically the Northern Plains. So Wac'in Yeya, the whole project has 3 components. The first phase is conduct focus groups with youth about what provides them with hope. So then these group meetings are followed with the youth participating, working with local youth and adult leaders to develop photo voice projects that provide culturally relevant representations of visual, music, dance, and other aspects of those factors they identify that will instill hope. And then the third component of the project is a community meeting where the youth present their projects to an invited group of family, other youth, and community members. So, great overview. I think it tells us a lot about hope and how much that need is in our community. So go ahead and Dr. Gray, tell us a little bit about yourself and then any more to the project that I'm excited to hear about.
Okay. I am a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. I'm a Choctaw Cherokee from Oklahoma, and I've been in the Northern Plains for 20 years now. The whole project came from some work that I was doing with a friend of mine in New Zealand with the Maori. And as I came back from there, I contacted Lisa Schrader and said, "What do you think about this?" And she said, "Let's do it." Mm-hmm. So it was really looking at a positive perspective around suicide prevention, of what develops hope and resiliency as opposed to the negative factors that tend to be looked at with research. Yeah. And when we presented it to the Research Review Board, they were really excited about the questions because we were asking about what gives you hope, how will someone know that you're hopeful, things like this that what we want to do is take a look at that and say, okay, how can we build suicide prevention programs making use of the things that nobody's really asked the youth what gives them that hope. So making use of those things that they say are helpful to them to build that network around them.
Nice. So want to tell me a little bit about some of the outcomes or some of the things that came to light?
Well, strong positive connections are really important, whether it's family or friends or role models, others that they can really identify with, that they can connect with. A sense of giving back and having a purpose in their lives, and being connected to things, to be able to do some peer mentoring with others, to share some of the things that they've learned and ways that they've grown to help others along that path as well. We're all really important.
Great. So thinking about that connection, and so tell me about some of the youth presenting those photo voice projects, and I like that it really incorporates inviting family members or somebody important to them.
Well, and it wasn't a true photo voice as it's written about. It was a matter of a creative project.
Okay.
So they could do art, they could do poetry, they could do drawings, collages, anything, dance, songs, anything that helped to represent hope and how they would get hope. Okay. And so we had a variety of things. We had some youth that did poetry and drawings and collages and things like that. And it was a way to give them voice in their community on these are things that are important to us and these are the things that make us strong. So that's what it was all about.
I love it. So one more question in terms of thinking about any next steps or anything you have planned for that community moving forward.
Well, we want to go into much more depth with the qualitative data from the focus groups and from the creative projects to kind of dig out some things and make some recommendations to the community on things that, you know, would be important to consider in developing any of those programs.
That is great, and I will check back in because I want to hear some of those
Okay.
outcomes. But again, thank you for your time today and for being a guest on Inside CRCAIH.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we will see you next time. Bye.